Yeah. Kidding me? Go from, one of the best players. It's hard for anybody, I'll be honest with you. More importantly, I realize I'm going to play a ton of minutes, so you just got to let the ego go when you think of coming off the bench. And
Klay Thompson has been an integral part of the Golden State Warriors since he entered the NBA in 2011. A dead-eye shooter and an effective defender, Klay became the template for the 3-and-D model that spread throughout the league. The Golden State Warriors aren't the Warriors as we know them without Klay, who has been a vital piece to one of the most successful 5-year runs in NBA history and one of the most dominant teams in basketball history. Even after devastating injuries cost him 2.5 seasons, Klay Thompson came back at a high level to help the Warriors win their 4th championship in 8 seasons. After returning to form during the 2022 to 2023 season, Klay Thompson was expected to continue in his vital role as Steph Curry's splash brother and showcase his value in a contract year. But Klay has gone in the wrong direction, with the worst shooting season of his career and a relegation to the bench. Between his recent demotion and upcoming free agency this summer, his future with the Golden State Warriors has never been this uncertain. Before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all of that out of the way, cue the intro. My Super Bowl picks that I made in my content with the Patrick Mahomes free square didn't hit, but the one that I posted onto my story did hit, and you guys let me know how much money you made in my DMs. And now that the NFL season's over, we're officially directing our attention to the NBA. I give away my picks for free at The Flight Mike on Instagram, and right now when you sign up for Prize Picks, use promo code FlightMike to get up to a $100 deposit match when you sign up on Prize Picks. Or you can just use my link in the description down below. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? In his first full season back since his ACL and Achilles tear, Klay Thompson had a productive and healthy 2022 to 2023 season. Klay would average just under 22 points, which was second on the team behind Steph Curry, and a career-high 4 rebounds per game. He shot 41% from 3, ranking 20th in the league, and led the NBA with 301 made threes. He helped the Golden State Warriors get to the second round of the playoffs, where they would lose to the Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games. It was a disappointing result for the defending champs, but Golden State's most positive development was clear. Klay Thompson was officially back, and just in time too. Entering this season, Klay had 1 year left on his contract worth about $43 million. Klay Thompson and the Warriors had talked about an extension prior to the season, but according to Woj, they had made no progress towards a new deal, with the sides far apart on both money and contract length. As a result, Klay Thompson would play out the final season of his contract as an impending free agent. It was a gamble on both sides, as they'd have to renegotiate in the summer of 2024, barring a mid-season trade. After an opening night loss to old friend Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors looked bright with 6 wins in their next 7 games, but just as quickly as their optimism rose, it would fall very soon after. The Golden State Warriors began to stumble, including a tight loss to Minnesota that saw Klay Thompson and Draymond Green get ejected during a first quarter altercation. Draymond would get suspended for 5 games, and Klay followed that game with his worst performance of the season to that point. 5 points on 1 of 10 shooting, including 1 of 6 from 3. He had 16 points the following game, but also tossed up a couple of bricks in overtime, including an air ball and a loss to the Thunder, pushing the losing streak to 6. Klay hadn't exactly lit the world on fire during the Golden State Warriors' early season success, but now that they were losing, his poor play was increasingly scrutinized. As the Warriors began to alternate between wins and losses over their next 8 games, Klay Thompson was asked about Coach Steve Kerr's patience with his starting lineup, which Klay interpreted as the reporter suggesting that they bench him.
Or are you of that kind of patience, and how much do you value it?
What do you want me to bench me?
No. It's like that's
You want to bench Wiggs?
I don't think I said that.
Okay. I mean, you can suggest it, it's fine. But, I mean, thanks, Steve, I guess. Like, I don't know, sometimes you earn these things like patience and time to find yourself. And I think history will is on our side when it comes to that stuff.
The Golden State Warriors kept Klay Thompson in the starting lineup, and he had 20-point games in 4 of his final 5 games of November. But as the calendar turned to December, Klay Thompson still had bad shooting nights, including some absolutely horrific games, going 3 of 13 against Portland and 2 of 10 against Phoenix. He went just 1 of 8 from 3 in both games. The Phoenix game was even more painful because they narrowly lost by 3, and Draymond Green once again would get into an altercation, which would result in an indefinite suspension after hitting Yusuf Nurkic. Afterwards, Klay Thompson responded with his best stretch of the season. Although they lost the first game without Green, Golden State went on a 5-game winning streak, and Klay had at least 20 points in 6 consecutive games. In Golden State's best win of the season, Klay hit 6 threes, including 2 clutch shots, as the Warriors rallied to beat the Celtics in overtime behind Curry and Thompson. The Splash Brothers were back to carrying the load, and the Warriors had rallied to own a winning record of 15-14. But once again, Klay Thompson couldn't sustain his performance. Over his next 3 games, he scored a total of 25 points while shooting just 8 of 34 and 6 of 22 on threes, as the Warriors lost 3 in a row. He had a much better night with 15 points in a win over Orlando to stop the slide, but his comments after the game are what drew the most attention. Klay revealed a conversation he had with Steve Kerr, which gave him perspective on this chapter of his career.
Sometimes I forget just how successful and how lucky I've been to be a part of championship teams and all-star games and gold medals. And when you want to get back to that level so badly, you can kind of get in your own way. And rather than forcing it, we had a conversation about just enjoying this last chapter of my career and how lucky I truly am to still be playing this game and doing it at a high level and being a better mentor for these young guys, leading by example, and having my energy right every game. And he helped me realize when I do have negative energy, how that affects the team in a poor manner. So we had a great conversation that just helped me change my whole mindset.
Hearing an athlete discuss their own mortality and physical decline is very difficult, especially when remembering how great Klay Thompson was during the Golden State Warriors' reign. Klay had seemingly come to grips with his diminished play and handled it well for the sake of the team, but it wouldn't come close to stabilizing the Warriors' season. In their next game, the Warriors appear to have another signature win in the bag against Denver, with Klay scoring an efficient 24 points. But they blew an 18-point lead against the Denver Nuggets, who had rallied to win on a ridiculous buzzer-beating 3 by Nikola Jokic. Klay scored 19 points in their next game, but it took him 18 shots to do it. Golden State had to hang on to squeeze by the league-worst Detroit Pistons. That win was a tough day for the Warriors for a couple of reasons. First, they lost Chris Paul to a serious hand injury that would sideline him for weeks. But before the game, a report from The Athletic came out and said that Jonathan Kuminga had lost faith in Steve Kerr's ability to help him reach his potential. The straw that broke the camel's back was Kuminga sitting for the final 18 minutes of their loss to Denver, minutes that went to Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins instead. Despite his quality performance in limited action, the Warriors championed their 2-timeline plan in the aftermath of their 2022 title. But now their youth reached a point of frustration, and the Warriors had to now deal with it publicly. The Warriors went on to lose 6 of their next 8 games, including Draymond Green's return after missing 16 games during his suspension. Klay had efficient 24, 25, and 30-point games, but also inefficient high-volume scoring games, which came back to hurt Golden State, particularly in back-to-back 1-point losses. The Warriors were 19-24 when Klay missed the following game with an illness. As a result, the Warriors started rookie Brandon Podziemski alongside Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Andrew Wiggins, and that lineup got a lot of action together in a victory against the Philadelphia 76ers. Klay came back the next game to score 14 points on 15 shots in a 20-point win over Memphis. That night, Kuminga led the team in scoring, and Podziemski led the team in assists. In their next game, Curry scored a season-high 60 points, and yet it wasn't enough as Golden State lost in overtime to the Atlanta Hawks. Klay played in nearly 36 minutes, but only scored 10 points while shooting 4 for 19 and 2 for 13 on threes. The Warriors bounced back with a victory over Brooklyn, but it came at Klay's expense. He scored 8 points on 9 shots and didn't play for the final 7 minutes. He was left out of the starting lineup in favor of youngsters like Moses Moody and Gui Santos, a rookie who had only played in 8 NBA games in his career. After the game, Klay admitted to how difficult sitting on the bench was for him.
Is this an adjustment period for you a little bit? I mean, he's done it in a few games, obviously.
Yeah. You kidding me? Go from one of the best players It's hard for any player, you know. I'll be honest with you. It's like, can be mad, but I'm not gonna be mad. I'm happy for these young guys, honestly. And yeah, we won. And it's hard to get wins in this league.
It is jarring to see Klay Thompson talk about his mortality as he gets replaced by rookies and players over a decade younger than him in crunch time. At least for the next 2 games, the Warriors wouldn't have to deal with crunch time. They blew out the 76ers with Klay scoring a crisp 18 points before a huge Steph Curry game helped them cruise past the Indiana Pacers. Thompson didn't play against Indiana, not because it was his 34th birthday, but because of an illness. That day was also the trade deadline, and outside a financially based move to send Corey Joseph to the Pacers, the Warriors stood pat in a major sign of support for their current core. Klay had a clunker in his return against Phoenix, but Steph Curry hit a clutch 3 with less than a second to go as Golden State eked out a 1-point win. In the following game in Utah, Klay was phenomenal, scoring a game-high 26 points, leading the Warriors to their 5th consecutive victory. But a critical mistake by Klay in the next game would ultimately doom his chances of remaining a starter. Klay was having another rough shooting night against the LA Clippers, but the Warriors were winning for most of the night. But then LA exploded on offense in the 4th quarter and held a 6-point lead with less than a minute to go. Podziemski hit a 3 to cut the deficit to 3 with about 40 seconds left, and then Klay would intentionally foul Russell Westbrook when he absolutely didn't need to, eliciting cringeworthy reactions from both his coach and his teammates. Steph even tried to console him, but Klay appeared to blow him off. Russell Westbrook would hit 2 free throws, and the Warriors would get no closer to losing by 5 points and ending their winning streak. Kerr bluntly admitted Klay's mistake after the game.
It looked like you did not want the foul when Klay committed the foul.
Yeah, we didn't want to. We're down 3 with 38 seconds. So, it's an obvious defend and just play it out and get a rebound, and then it's a 1-possession game.
The shoe finally dropped ahead of their final game before the All-Star break. The Warriors officially benched Klay Thompson. Golden State elected to start Podziemski over Klay, who would come off of the bench for the first time since his rookie season. Shockingly, that led to his best game of the season. Klay went 13 for 22 and 7 of 13 from 3 with a season-high 35 points, and the Warriors beat the Jazz in a shootout. After the game, both Thompson and Kerr discussed Klay's move to the bench.
Found out this morning. Me and Steve had a good talk about it. You could do 2 things. You can pout or you can go out there and respond. And I thought I did the latter very well tonight, especially no turnovers, and I missed a few box outs though. But more importantly, I realized I'm going to play a ton of minutes. So you just got to let the ego go when you think of coming off the bench and all that. I thought about Manu Ginobili. That guy has 4 rings and gold medal, and he came off the bench his whole career. And I don't think anyone looks down on his Hall of Fame candidacy. He's one of the greats.
The lineup with Brandon out there with Wiggs, J.K., Draymond, Steph, it's been by far our best lineup. And BP connects the game. He rebounds. He does some things that really help the other guys. And I've been thinking about it. Decided to do it tonight and talked to Klay this morning, and I thought he handled everything beautifully. The way he came out, determined, competitive. That's not easy, to come off the bench for the first time in, 11 years, you probably know.
Coming out of the All-Star break, Klay had another stinker against the Lakers with just 3 points and a subpar night against the Hornets, but the Warriors won both of those games by double digits. Since dropping to a season-worst 5 games under 500 in late January, the Warriors have gone 10-2 as of the making of this video. Klay has only cracked 30 minutes in a game once during that stretch. The run began when Thompson was out, and the Warriors used the starting lineup of Curry, Podziemski, Kuminga, Wiggins, and Green. Kerr's benching of Klay likely stems from his desire to keep that lineup for the time being, as they have the best net rating out of any 5-man Warriors lineup. As of the making of this video, that lineup is a perfect 5-0 on the season. Kerr said that this lineup isn't permanent, but with Chris Paul's imminent return, it looks like he'll continue to pair Klay with the veteran point guard in the second unit. So what does this mean for Klay Thompson's future with the Warriors? Golden State's success this season figures to heavily factor into his free agency. They're currently in the play-in tournament, although the team's lack of deadline moves and recent success indicate that they're confident the current group can legitimately compete in the postseason. Now that the roles are more clearly defined, it could help the team become this year's play-in darling, kind of like the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers last year. But aside from missing the playoffs or a short postseason run, there are more reasons each side may feel like a split is for the best. Golden State's increasing youth movement figures to chip away at Klay Thompson's playing time even more. Klay has said that he's open to accepting a reduced role role in order to stay with the only NBA team he's ever played for and extending the lifetime for the legendary Golden State Warriors trio. However, there are other teams that could offer him a bigger role and a better contract. Earlier this season, Shams Charania reported that the Warriors offered Clay a 2-year $48 million contract, which he turned down. If they don't come back with a deal that meets or exceeds that offer, he could test the free agency market. That's something Shams expects him to do with the number of interested suitors.
I expect him to test the marketplace. I would expect potentially
Indiana.
a couple East Coast teams to have interest in Klay Thompson. As of right now, unless there's a miracle extension, he's going to test the marketplace. His future's up in the air just for the simple fact he's going to be going into free agency.
Okay.
Now, in these rumors, the Lakers and Heat will always be the flashy free agent destinations, but it's the other Florida team that's been increasingly linked to Klay Thompson. Mark Stein reported that the Orlando Magic have been mentioned as a potential suitor for Thompson who could fit in with their young core. Plus, they'll have the cap space to make him a competitive contract offer as they try to take the next step in their rebuild. But as tough as it's been for Klay to accept the realities of his new role with the Warriors this season, he could stay in the Bay and elect to follow the path of Manu Ginobili, someone he's talked about before. Towards the end of his career, Manu came off of the bench and signed smaller contracts in order to stay with the Spurs, the only NBA team he's ever played for. As a result, San Antonio remained competitive and the Spurs were able to win one more title in 2014 with their big three of Manu, Tim Duncan, and Tony Parker. Klay staying in the Bay is not too far-fetched. After all, Steph Curry is still an elite player capable of keeping a team competitive on any given night. Draymond Green still wreaks havoc on defense, at least when he's not suspended. Steve Kerr signed a 2-year contract extension that will make him the highest paid coach at over $17 million a year. The Warriors aren't the Warriors without Klay Thompson, but the version of Klay Thompson that we've all known and loved is gone, which makes his future increasingly uncertain. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think Klay Thompson's going to do? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.